In this week's Torah portion, we learn about how the Torah touches every single aspect of our lives and also not to forget the evil that is in this world. Shalom, my friends. It's the Kiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. Of all the Torah portions that talk about all kinds of different things, this week's Torah portion, Ki Tetzei, hits the top of the list. So many different topics are talked about in this one Torah portion, from divorce to going out to war to agricultural laws and many other things. And it might be hard to find the commonality between them. It might be hard to string all of them together and say, this is what this Torah portion is about. Sometimes one Torah portion has one single theme. This is not the case in this week's Torah portion. But one commonality that we do see, and one way that we can string them all together, is the way that the Torah touches our lives in so many different ways. The Torah comes from the word horah in Hebrew. The word Torah comes from the word horah, which means directions or instructions. The Torah is meant to be an instruction book. Now, it's a book of stories, it's a book of history, it's a book of values, it's a book of spirituality. It's a lot of things in one sacred text, but it's also a lot of instructions on how to live the best lives that we can possibly live. And this week's Torah portion really, really highlights that no matter what we're doing on any given day, every single day there is a way to apply the laws, the teachings, and the values, these instructions of the Torah, to our lives, no matter what we're doing. And that really is the essence of the Torah. That's the essence of Judaism, to really bring this thoughtfulness and this consciousness, this conscious way of living, this way of living that's connected to God and to values and to a higher sense of living, to our lives. Right? That really is all. That is really what the Torah is all about. The really main essence, the main point, to bring down the Torah into our every single day lives. And whatever we're doing, say, okay, what would the Torah say about this? How do we apply the Torah? I'm out in the field, I'm farming. How do I apply Torah to this? I'm going out to war. My country is going out to war. What are the Torah teachings and values when it comes to that? Somebody's going through, a divorce, God forbid. What does the Torah say about that? And all the other different ways that we see the Torah being applied in this week's Torah portion and in general. The second thing I want to highlight is this. At the very, very end of this week's Torah portion, it tells us the mitzvah, the commandment, the obligation to remember what the nation of Amalek did to the Israelite people as they were leaving Egypt after hundreds of years of slavery. Now, let me just frame this. At the very end of last week's Torah portion, it says, when you go out to war against your enemy, right? And a famous commentator, Rashi, from about 1,000 years ago, a Torah commentator from Europe, he said, remember that they are your enemy. Treat them like they are your enemy. Don't have mercy on them, because they're not going to have mercy on you. Very powerful words, especially during these times that we're in right now and everything that Israel is going through and facing. Right, so that was at the end of last week's Torah portion. Remember that they are your enemy. They're treating you as their enemy, so treat them as your enemy. Right? And then at the very end of this week's Torah portion, we're told to remember Israel's arch enemy. Right? The main enemy from throughout the generations is this nation of Amalek. Right? And the Torah teaches us, remember them. Don't forget about Amalek. Don't forget what they did to you. Right? In the end of days, it's going to come a time when they're going to be completely wiped out. And that is also an obligation. Now, the merciful part of us is saying, no, but, trying to figure out all kinds of ways. Maybe, we could, work with them and convince them and talk to them and make a deal with them. And the Torah is saying, like, okay, that's fine in some instances, for sure. There are people, there are leaders, there are nations that you can do that with. But there's some nations where there's some people that you just can't. Right? And the Torah is telling us that with like a bleeding heart on some level. I know you want to. I know you're such a loving person. You're such a good person. You're such a merciful person. But in this case, it's not going to work. This nation of Amalek, they had, as we call it in Hebrew, the chutzpah. They had the gall. They had the nerve, right, to attack the Israelites, your people, your ancestors, as they were leaving Egypt. The whole world was in awe of what happened to the Israelites with the 10 plagues and the leaving of Egypt, the Exodus. And this one nation had the gall, had the nerve to attack the Israelites exactly at that moment. And that really kind of set in stone who this people were, who this nation was, and what eventually needs to happen to them. Right. So really, when we kind of zoom out and we look at the end of last week's Torah portion and the end of this week's Torah portion, we see that the Torah is instructing us, right? Again, this idea of instructions, that there is evil in this world, unfortunately, right? But you have to recognize it. You have to realize it. You have to, admit it, right? As much as you don't want to, as much as you want the world to be only good and all perfect, there is evil in this world, and it's necessary to recognize that, to know that, and to admit it in order to know how to properly deal with it. We should be blessed to deal with all the evil, wipe away the darkness, and see one day soon, hopefully, a world of only good. Thanks so much, my friends, and be well.